Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us today to mark the International Women's Day. And today's conversation, it is going to be slightly different. I'm Sapna Srivastava, editor Realty Plus, and on this day, when most celebrate women leaders and talk about milestones and achievements, we believe leadership journeys are also shaped by difficult moments, tough decisions, and some unexpected situations. So, today, we want to talk about those moments when life gave lemons and our women leaders made lemonade. So, let me introduce our inspiring women leaders today who are joining us. I welcome Dr. Ananta Singh Raghuvanshi, President Sales and Marketing, Krisumi Corporation. Ashu Gupta, partner Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas and Company, advocates and solicitors. Megha Agarwal, Chief Marketing Officer, Table Space, and Nasira Razak, Co-Managing Director, Gensler, Bangalore. Thank you all for being here today with us. Dr. Anantaji joining us today, Megha joining us for this discussion, Ashu for being here with us today, and Nasira for joining us from Bangalore to be part of this discussion. So
Thank you,
let me
Sapna.
begin. Like I said in my introduction, this is going to be a different conversation. So let me begin the conversation or this talk by asking each one of you your lemon moment in your career that shaped you as a leader that you are today. Anantaji, what was that turning point in your career, you will say?
Hi, Sapna. A very happy Women's Day to all of you. Sapna, there have been several lemon moments because 35 years is a long
I
journey.
know.
But I'll tell you about one during my early days. And I was at a very young age, I became the head of sales and marketing for DLF, as you're aware. And at that
Right.
time, DLF was DLF Kutub Enclave, and those are the townships that we were selling and marketing. And I was crazy passionate about my work, and I loved it, and I was good at it. And then McKinsey came in, and then they created those four verticals. And I was chosen by the organization to start the retail leasing vertical, about which I was completely clueless. And the target to me was 12 malls had to be sold and leased in a year.
Oh,
So, I mean, it was uncertainty, in capitals. and
that's true.
but I think that's looking back, it's one of the best things that happened to me. Right time, right place, sunrise industry. But just imagine, Sapna, they opened doors for me to 700 top retailers actually in the country. So at any point of time, I knew what Madura is up to, what Arvind Brands is up to, what Shoppers Stop is up to, who's buying, what they are buying, why they are buying, which are the international brands coming into India, Debenhams, Costa. I understood so many businesses in such detail, right
Hmm.
from visual merchandising to everything. And that type of knowledge I would have never gained if I had just been a real estate person, selling homes and selling offices and doing that. So that was my best lemonade.
Okay. Of course, as they say,
Fantastic.
there is always a silver lining to a dark cloud. So, Megha, what was your lemon
Yes.
moment?
Wow, I think it was a very good one to start with. So you set the expectations really, really high. My lemon moment, and to the point that Anuradha mentioned, there have been several, but the one that defined how I look at careers in general was after I delivered my second baby. And this is during when I was at Unilever. This was my third stint at Unilever. And a very interesting role opened up, which was integration manager for global markets. Unilever was taking over the nutrition business from GlaxoSmithKline at that time at GSK. It is one of the largest FMCG mergers that the country has seen. And the role was open to handle the global markets integration. I had just come back from my mat leave, and Unilever has this process of interviewing for any new role that opens up. So I was anyway looking at new roles. HR being HR, they were really warm, kind. They said, Mika, this is a role that involves a lot of travel, very hectic, crazy hours, global time zones. How will you manage your little baby at home? And I think it's that lemon which looked very exciting at that time. It looked very valuable. And, I think at some point, I've always been a core marketer, and this was a very interesting business role. I signed up for it. I actually got selected for the role. What came interestingly from there on is a young marketing manager who was handling at one point detergent bars, at one point purifiers, went on to suddenly start working across 13 unique markets. So from Africa to America to Nepal and
Right.
Bangladesh, I was this young manager dealing with CEOs across these countries to understand whether we should keep the nutrition business on in that market or shut that business in that market, what to launch, what not to launch. And suddenly it was not just marketing. It was a very business role to understand P&L, commercials, future NPD pipelines, and really take the harsh calls on what do we keep, what do we shut, and at the end of the day, grow nutrition business once it comes into the Unilever portfolio. That was a massive changing point in my career because from there on, I never looked at just marketing and then CMO WeWork and now CMO Table Space. It really defined what careers can be, and you don't have to limit yourself to a silo. And when you get
Right.
an opportunity to take something which is more than a function that you've been really good at, step into that uncomfortable zone during a phase in my life which was very difficult. But I think it changed the direction completely for me.
Yeah, I think, and it takes a lot of courage also to to take on so much responsibilities when you know you already have a lot of other personal commitments as well.
Yes.
Ashu, what was your turning point in your career, which kind of defines you today? You are on mute, Ashu.
Yeah, so basically, as a legal person, and that too in relation to land and all, land is really not an easy subject in India. There are too many complexities and all of that. So I was involved in a 500 acres land aggregation, and it's very important in land aggregations that it is done quickly, fastly, because so that when people around come to know, then the price just increases. So in that process you have to rely on the aggregator, and you have to do a very quick diligence of the job and complete it. So in one of these acquisitions there was a whole family that was involved, and they did not earlier inform us of them. It was not even mentioned in the, like, you have to look at some records and all. I know it's a little technical. Their names were not appearing. Suddenly, when we went down to, so we acquired the land, we did everything. When we started development, the objections and those people started coming in and tried to, and with land, there's a lot of mafia and politicians and all those people also who got involved.
Right.
So, they even managed to get a stay order, which was very detrimental to our client. So we had to go sit down with those people, negotiate with them, and try and close the transaction. So it really taught me one thing, that however important it is to close, but it's very important to go through that entire process and not have any shortcuts in that, even if the client wants it, because otherwise later on you have to deal with that issue. So might as well take it little easy, let the costs go little higher, because it's better to have all issues clearly defined prior than once you're already in the development stage. So
Right, you
that's
rightly said. Land is something, due diligence, land title still is a very messy, subject here in India. And to handle that, you've been handling that. So that's, I'm sure there must have been a lot of such moments in your time, in your career, handling the land, the legal aspect of land.
Yeah, this was something where we had already
Yeah.
invested substantially and things went
Yeah.
wrong. So to try and get it rectified was a little bit of a challenging task. And, however, when the client says it's urgent, when things go wrong, then nobody really remembers. It's all that we were guided by you and we were advised by you. So I learned
Uh,
this, that however urgent, whatever it is, if there are red flags, it has to be clearly pointed out, and it has to be a commercial decision to whether or not to go ahead. So
this
that
will
I
bring
still did keep
This
in
will
mind.
bring, of course, and this will bring me to my next question also. But before that, Nasira, what was your lemon moment? We want to know.
Yeah, sure. So, I think they were absolutely great stories here, and I'm so honored to be part of this wonderful, session with such amazing women leaders here. It's quite exciting for me. So, Sapna, when I look at my journey back, right, in hindsight, there, of course, like everyone is saying, there have been quite a few lemon moments, so to speak.
Mhm.
But then I've realized that it's not really the moment in itself that defines you, right? It's what you choose to do with it. Exactly. So
Correct.
for me, when I look back, I would say there were a lot of pivot moments that happened in my career per se. The first one that I can think of really was a promotion I was given because the manager I was reporting to, right? She had to leave for whatever personal reason, and they just elevated me like in a very short span before I really thought I was ready for that role or all of that. But then you realize that, in my head, I was like, okay, I'm given this opportunity. I need to just go with it, right? Even though you may not inside feel that, okay, am I ready? Like a lot of women here said, right? When that opportunity comes, there's a lot of self doubt that you come with. I think it's
Right.
about that more internal journey that you walk through where from being very hesitant on whether I'll do it, would I be good enough? Will I be judged and all of that, to sort of making yourself believe that no, I need to try this. I will figure out a way to do it. And that's exactly been my, I would say, mantra for every time there has been that pivot moment, just to say, no, this opportunity has come to me for a reason and I need to make the most of it. And that's how I've sort of, traversed my journey. And it's been very, very fruitful thus far, just because of the belief that, when an opportunity comes, you take it and you go with the flow and have that belief that things will turn out if your intent is right. And if you put in the effort,
Correct.
there's nothing that's going to stop you. So, yeah.
Very interesting. I think very interesting stories and very interesting, because leadership journeys are not linear. There will be ups and downs, and how you handle it, like what Nasira said, you have to go with the flow. You have to believe in yourself, and like Ashu said, that you need to recognize the red flags if there are, and take a pause, and then go with some learnings that we get on the way. Now, that brings me, of course, there were challenges, there were some ups and downs. What's that reset button? How do you regain clarity? Like Ashu, you said, there was something which went wrong, and it's a learning from for future. How did you regain? Because people get flustered. So how do you regain clarity? What is your personal reset button, if I may ask?
So I just analyzed the whole thing, and I was, at least to myself and to the client, you have to be very honest and upfront that what was the things that you did right and where did you go wrong. And you have to keep that learning in mind so that in your next transaction you don't repeat the same mistakes. How much ever urgency or whatever it is, what needs to be done. So then you make your own checkbox and you say that this is like this you cannot compromise with, and this is a commercial risk which the client will take. I'm just talking from a very legal perspective, and that has really helped me and helped my team. Instead of then thinking what do we do, then we think, okay, this is how we have to address this. And to that extent, by now we have enough experience and we know what are the things that we have to look in a transaction, and what is doable and what is not doable.
And personally, do you take some time off, or do you, go in a corner and isolate yourself and think? Is there some kind of a personal processing also?
And not, yeah, do introspect. See, if things don't go as was planned, you do introspect, and initially you do feel that you could have done things better and all. But the way forward is that at least you know that this is where it has not worked, and next time you don't, make sure that we are not making the same mistake, or how much ever urgency there is. These are the things that we definitely need to look at and take more time. That is, from a
Okay.
legal perspective, that's most important. That even
No
if the client,
shortcuts.
yeah, shortcuts. If it needs
Okay.
time, it needs time.
Okay, so introspection is what Ashu said. Dr. Ananta, when things go wrong, what is your personal reset button? How do you gain clarity?
So it's never a perfect world. I mean, in your professional life, something or the other at some point of time would be there as an irritant. Uh, Now, when you talk of reset button, it's see there's two parts to it. One is, of course, you can find escapism by traveling, music, dance. Those are good distractions, which kind of set a temporary reset button, and you come back refreshed in that sense. But what I have seen in my journey is that I think my motivation, my meditation, the music for my mind and soul has always been a new skill or a learning process. So, for example, now, as you know, I'm now with Krisumi Corporation, which is, the first real estate joint venture with Sumitomo Corporation. And
Right.
Sumitomo is a Fortune 500 company and 400-year-old legacy. So, right now, I am learning Japanese as a language. So get into something which is completely new, refreshing. It's very nice. It makes you feel really good, and you're not just thinking one thing. So after that 2-hour class on a weekend, your mind is so clean and so clear of noise.
Mm, right,
So
right.
I always find that learning a new skill always is a lot of fun. And yes, it's good. It's You are a little better than what you were yesterday.
Right, right. Megha, like Ananta ji said, getting distracted from what you are doing day in and day out is something which resets your mind. What is your reset button?
It's very interesting, Sapna, because see, I've been over the last 4 years in very high hustle organizations, whether it was WeWork, CMO, or now Table Space. The mantra here in these organizations, because they're growing so fast and at such speed, is fail fast. So I think the amount of times we succeed and the amount of times we also make mistakes are sometimes hand in hand, which is why we're able to grow at the scale at which we are growing today. And in a situation like this, it is very important to stay very close to teams, because when things go wrong, a lot of times there's a lot of demotivation, especially a lot of young teams who are working with you. So as a leader, and at WeWork, I had a team of about 30. Here I have about a team of about 12 young, very, very passionate kids who bring a lot to the work every day. Um, in these times, especially when things go wrong, very important that they see a very strong leader. They see that, every time we make a mistake, there is an environment which allows for learning. And again, go ahead, try hard again, because the culture is about fail fast, do things fast, so that, there is a lot more learning. And that puts a lot of responsibility on us to ensure that whenever something goes wrong, and we have a simple process, we come together as a team, we sit down and talk about it extremely openly. So failures don't seem like failures, mistakes don't seem like mistakes. It is part of us learning, it is part of us growing. So technically, from that point of view, there is no reset required, because it is part of our work cycle and we built a DNA like that. But otherwise, because the work pressure gets crazy or some days are really difficult, for me, reset is picking up a nice book, sitting with a cup of coffee somewhere, and finding that me time, because that is a reset to start thinking better, to make the next big
Yeah,
successful project, or fail fast again, so that my next one is even faster, even better. So I think that's how we approach it. But learning and keeping an extremely open environment in fast paced cultures like this is extremely important, so teams feel extremely confident about delivering fast. Because when you're expecting something like that, you need to also create an environment of open feedback, open learnings, recognizing that this is absolutely okay and I am there. That is extremely important.
correct. Nasira, like Megha said, it's a fast-paced world. Instant gratification, instant achievements,
Yeah.
instant failures happening. Uh, So I'm sure in your fields out there are client dissatisfied, things not going wrong right at site. So
Mhm.
how do you, when the things don't go right, how do you get your clarity, your
Yeah,
reset?
yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the reset button is distance, right? And just
Mm,
regaining perspective. So if something goes wrong, I've learned not to react immediately. I usually, step away. I sleep over the problem before responding, because especially in leadership, right, your first reaction is rarely your best one. You need to
right.
pause always, right? And part of that perspective for me actually comes from life outside work. I'm a single mom to a 13-year-old boy, and parenting a teenager always teaches you that reacting
Patience.
instantly doesn't always lead to the best outcome. So you do need to
Yeah.
pause, breathe, and come back with a calmer mind. And another important thing that I've sort of realized for myself is the importance of boundaries, right? So as women, we often go, we try to go above and beyond to make everything work, be it at work, be it home, everywhere. It's almost something that's culturally ingrained in all of us. But we have to consciously create that little space for yourself, like everyone was saying, right? That me space that you need. And for me, that has been a passion outside of work, which is Bharatanatyam. I've been learning that classical art form for now decades together. And for me, those Sunday mornings are sacred. Like my class is a 3 hour class that I go every Sunday, and that is sacrosanct. Like I don't let anything come in that boundary. And for me, that 2 3 hours at my class is heaven, right? And it really brings me, a lot of perspective in everything I do. Dance has that way of teaching you discipline. It
True.
teaches you intention. It's about, there are no shortcuts. If you have to learn a choreography, you just have to practice. There's no other way. No AI can, make you learn anything. So
Right,
that's
right.
that's something that I've kept very close to my heart, and that's something I always tell my teams, right? You have to have an interest beyond work, because that is where you sort of open up doors to think out of your normal way of thinking. That whole idea of being creative, being imaginative will only come if you expose yourself to learning different skills. It could be
Right.
anything of your choice, but yeah, that's super important, and that's really helped me in those
Very
cases.
fantastic, things that we have got to learn from our speakers here, whether it is introspection, whether it is me time with just a cup of coffee, or it is learning something new, to clear, to do something different for what you are doing every day. That gives a whole lot of probably rejuvenation, to people who are especially in the leadership positions with a lot of high pressure work and jobs to be done. Nasira, you also mentioned that as women we go beyond our call of duty. We hold ourselves to some impossible standards sometimes. Why do you think that happens? Is it because we are trying to compete with our men colleagues, or trying to some society expectations? Why does that happen?
I think, yeah, it is a lot of an innate belief that we have, that we need to prove ourselves, and to do that we have to go above and beyond. As leaders, this is something I've often noticed, that especially when women leaders, um, if we are decisive, we are often labeled as bossy. If we are collaborative, we sometimes are interpreted as, being too soft. If we show vulnerability, it can be mistaken for weakness. So, to me, actually, vulnerability is our biggest superpowers, to be honest, right? And it's also, there is another subtle layer to it, that studies have often shown, and I've read this multiple times, where if you look at men, they often feel ready to take on roles where they meet probably only one or two or part of the criteria that it needs, whereas women, we tend to wait until we feel that no, we have to be 100% ready to even ask for that promotion. And that's something that belief is so innate, this whole idea of imposter syndrome that we call, right? I still have those moments, to be very honest, even though I've had such a great career and all of it, but still there are moments
Right.
where I sort of rethink or doubt myself, that is am I, do I deserve this place and all of that. So but it's encouraging to see that things are changing. We do conversations like these, and I really feel that we are also the torchbearers, almost, to make sure that the next gen of women are sort of not going through that same generational,
Right.
framework of beliefs that we've all grown with, or we've all had to face. So I almost think that it's a responsibility that all of us here have to take, to make sure that we are sort of making that space for the next gen of leaders, to ensure that they don't need to fight for a space in the room, in the boardroom
That's
especially,
right.
right? That they have that voice, and
That's
we
right.
as women need to do that for ourselves. And it's not to say
Mm.
that we, it's not like a men bashing thing that often
Of
people
course.
relate
Mm.
to, being feminist or being empowering women. It's not that at all. It's about just having those equal opportunities based on merit and credibility. That's it. That's
Correct.
all we're
Correct.
looking for here, right? And that we need to make sure that we do get that.
Ashu, do you agree? There is one thing of having equal opportunities, and the other thing is that women have unexpected, expectations from themselves. They, as Nasira said, we want to check, each box that yes, we are competent at that. If we are taking a role, do you see the same things happening?
Yes, I do see, but I've also seen, at least in my field, there are a lot of women, and all of us have been given that opportunity. So I wouldn't say that I have been deprived of any opportunity just, or I have been singled out, or I've been biased just because I was a woman. I only have noticed one thing, that one has to be assertive. Like, you don't have to, like, you have to all the time be assertive. As she said, you cannot really be too agreeable, because people misunderstand, and then they think that they can basically make you agree or whatever. So you do have to put your foot down. You have to be a hard negotiator, and people do respect you. uh, so long
Hmm.
as as they said, that you set your boundaries right in the first stance only, so that they
Correct.
know that this is up to it, and beyond this there won't be any agreement, I think. But having said that, in law I have seen many successful women, and I have had the opportunity also to work with, like, my organization Pallavi Shroff. Before that I was working with
Yeah.
Zia Modi and all, so I have learned a lot from them also,
Yeah.
how to
Fantastic.
conduct ourselves.
Fantastic role models, if I may say, they are.
Yes, yes.
So, Anantaji, 34 years, how you seen women leaders? Do we have a lot of expectations from ourselves? We go beyond our, boundaries. Like Ashu said, we have to set boundaries. How do you see that? Is it still the same? Things have changed?
Uh, Sapna, things will always be the same. We are celebrating the 115th International Women's Day today, and we are still talking about gender integration. 115th. Okay.
Right.
So things will always be the same. So, for the same position, a woman definitely has to be more qualified, more disciplined, more hardworking, more respectable, more everything to get the same seat. There is no doubt about that. You earn your place. And when you say that, okay, fine, I don't have to slip into that glass slipper, I have to break the glass ceiling, that is for real. All five of us are on this call together because we have broken those glass ceilings. How many women have reached the boardrooms? How
Right.
many? How many? So it's about competence, and at the end of it, competence is what you are competing. Whom are you competing? You're competing with the best, because even for men, it's the most competent people who are reaching those boardrooms, and you have
Hmm.
no role models, you have no mentors, you are on your own, you are learning how to reach there completely on your sheer willpower.
Yes.
So that will has to be so tough. That is why
Hmm.
I think last time when you had a talk on Women's Day, it was all about tenacity and resilience,
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
right?
Megha, do you agree to what Anantaji is saying, that women have to be little more to be on the same position as compared to the male colleagues?
No, I'll first answer what Ananta just said. Only 29% of women globally hold any kind of C suite position. And this number
Yeah.
has not changed since 24. And if we continue at this rate, agreeing to what she said, it'll take another 100 years for us to even balance out this huge gap that is really there. So, as a marketeer, let me land one piece. I'm sure all of us have seen those creatives that go live during Women's Day or when they celebrate women, where there is this lady with infinite hands, one holding a baby, one cooking, one on the laptop. That creative irks me to hell. I mean,
Right.
it is setting such wrong expectations from women. You're making it. You're celebrating that style and that avatar of woman, and setting all the wrong standards for her. You're expecting her to juggle 100 balls and not expecting her to drop anything. And that's why over
Mm,
the several years, women, especially in India, have these unrealistic standards for themselves, which is why there is postpartum depression, which is why there is mom guilt of joining back work after maternity. And I'm fully in alignment with Ananta. You need to have absolute will, which has to come from internal. So for example, for me, it's very important. I want to be a great mom. I want to be a great wife. I want to be a great daughter. But I also want something for me. Who is Megha Agarwal outside of these roles that society has assigned to me? And
right,
unfortunately, a lot of women don't have the right mentorship, the right coaching to chase this self dream. And which is why I think that tenacity is missing, that confidence is missing. And I'm hoping that as more conversations like these happen, more women feel less guilty, and that whole illusion of this multitasking superpower woman who does not exist is shattered. I quite take inspiration from Indra Nooyi, and she says this several times, saying if I'm doing really well in one space, which means I am not doing so well in some other space. And the day I
right.
realize that and I accept that, I will be
Yes,
successful at whatever I take and do forward. I will learn how to juggle things at best. I'll be able to manage, but I can't be awesome at everything. That does not exist. Men don't have those pressures. Men don't have those insecurities that women have been slowly ingrained into. And I think that's the narrative that us women have to change. It's not about equality. It's not about men bashing. It's just
correct.
about setting the right narrative for the next set of women who come into the world. And I think that's why I'm bringing up my daughter, her friends, wherever I can. It's about equality driven through equity, which is what you said, equal opportunities, equal problems. Boys and girls should have the same problems, if not more or less, right? So
That
opportunities
is right.
and a personality perception setting should be on the same page. Unfortunately, our women have been born and brought up in an environment where a lot is expected from them, and guilt hits them, and unfortunately, very qualified women are still waiting for their seat at the table.
That's right. It's quite alarming to know that only 29% globally
Yeah,
women are at the CXO levels or C-suite, and that has not changed over
yeah.
from 24. And as you rightly said, it is not, there might be equal opportunities. Like Ashu said, in legal, there are still, the scenario is much better, but the societal pressures or the expectation that a woman has to be omnipresent and has to be fantastic at everything has to change. Now, another very difficult question that I would like to ask you all is that one stereotype that still exists in boardrooms that you have seen in your field, or somewhere else. What is that one stereotype that still exists in boardrooms? Anantaji, let me start with you.
Uh, the seat at the table you may have earned, but the voice on the table is something that you have to make sure that that voice is heard, you know,
Okay.
because reaching the boardroom is not the big deal. Making an impact on the P&L, making an impact with empathetic leadership and various other things, that's the important part, you know. So make sure that your voice is heard.
Right. So if you have earned your place on the table, your seat on the table, make sure that you're making an impact and your voice is heard.
Yes.
Ashu, what stereotype you have seen in the boardrooms? You're on mute.
My whole point is if I have to go for a meeting or something, I over prepare myself just as a thing so that I anticipate what who can ask me what type of questions and all so that I'm at least ready and I'm not taken and I'm always uh, I over prepare so I'm confident of what I'm going to say, and if by chance I do not know something, so I'm very clear. I do not try to say okay or something. I do say that I will get back to you.
Okay. Okay.
So
So being prepared, if you have your, you have the seat at the table, you are there, being over prepared, or not knowing something is not something one should get very flustered about.
Yes, yes. One should
Okay.
speak confidently and one should be assertive, because many times people just question and cross question you. So at that point in time, your being fully prepared helps you to be able to answer them confidently. And once you're confident and your body language and all is good enough, then automatically, I mean, they hear you out. That's been
Fantastic.
my experience.
Okay, fantastic. Nasira, do you think, if, women feel that they have to over prepare, and if they don't know something, they'll be, uh, thought of something lesser? Uh, what's your
Yeah,
stereotype you are
I
seeing?
would I would think again, a lot of that is also our own internal, conflict or journey that we are all, sort of traversing in our own career journeys, or have, and sort of, navigated that. It's that stereotype is still very much there, where, for a woman to have that voice on the table to be heard, you have to be borderline aggressive in some capacity, right? And it's not like we are being aggressive, but that's the label that we'll get, that, oh, look at
Hmm.
her, she's so bossy. And, and this whole concept of power dressing, that's all there. I really sometimes think, why do I have to be in a suit to come across as I'm serious about what I'm doing, right? And that's something I've really internalized. And now I'm very intentional about wearing what I want to wear. It's not about trying to, put myself into a
Hmm.
bracket. I wear a sari when I want. I wear, a suit when I want. So it's all about my own choice, right? So, but the stereotype still exists, very much exists, where the men, and I still go to a lot of rooms where I'm perhaps the only woman and there are 15 other men in the room. Correct. And that still shows that we don't have enough representations in those tables and in those rooms, which is why we need to sort of amplify everything we're saying in some
Right,
capacity.
right.
So, this whole concept of being over prepared all comes from there, because we really
Correct.
need to put in that extra effort to say probably the same point that another counterpart would say in, probably much lesser words, right? So that still exists, but I'm hopeful things will change, and people like us would sort of be, changing that for everyone else. So yeah.
So there are stereotypes which are still there, like all of our speakers have just mentioned, different forms, different fabrics. Now, as Anantaji said, 100 years of International Day, year on year, we keep talking about the same things, the glass ceiling, this, the stereotypes, the misconceptions, societal pressures, fast forwarding. We are talking about Viksit Bharat 2047. We are talking about Vision 2030, Saudi Vision 2030. Every country's, has some vision or the other. What's one thing you hope will no longer be a Women's Day conversation, probably in 2030 or 2047? Mega, starting with you. Hopefully, what we'll not be discussing next time, in maybe next
Oh
four, five
my
years.
God. No, I'm really hoping that we hear more about how women are voicing their opinions a lot more, how women are not being, and I think some of the women on the panel have really said this nicely, saying if you're too soft, then it's a problem. If you're too harsh, it's a problem. Um, and in general, one of the things that I've heard which makes me very uncomfortable is when somebody new is joining a team and they realize it's going to be a woman boss, there's generally some sort of panic button that hits them saying, women, she's going to be difficult. She's going to have her own timings. So I'm hoping that some of these narratives will change, and as this generation, mothers the next generation or is in close proximity to other women and coaches the next generation of women, we will hear very very different narratives. And I think that hope is extremely important because that's how we will start shaping the right narrative. This conversation should move away completely from the whole man versus woman. It's not about the men, really. Even in a woman conversation, we don't have to bring the men. It's just about the
Correct.
woman. It's just about ensuring that as a culture, which inherently recognizes that women are more powerful. And that comes from Lord Shiva, right? He believes and he says that I am nothing without Parvati, and she's the one who completes me. And
Hmm.
we are a culture that actually has that. Over the years, the narrative has changed, and women have to now find their identity, which is sad. So I'm hoping that the next generation and on to all of us, I would request everybody, and if you're not doing, I would request that you at least are mentoring three, four, five, as many as you can, young women with a lot of potential and setting the narrative right. For me, that is an extremely important piece that I invest my time and energy into. And
Okay.
only when we put in that effort for the next generation will the narrative change. Otherwise, for the next 100 years, given the number is 29% of C suite are women, it's not changing. So, yeah, that's where I
Okay.
am.
So
Hopeful.
Megha is expecting that the narrative will change. She is mentoring a lot of women leaders also. Ananta ji, after 4 years, when we meet again, what is it that you don't want to talk about?
Next year when we meet, what is it I don't want to talk about?
Okay.
4 years is too long. This year, I think the theme for this year's International Women's Day is hashtag Give to Gain. I wish it was hashtag attack Live to Give, you know. And I think as women leaders, we have achieved our dreams, most of our dreams. And this is a time when, just like she mentioned, mentoring, as you are aware, last 4 years, I've been working for Naredko Mahi, and it's all about gender integration. We have 5 women who started. Today, we are a movement of 500 women who do pro bono work for skilling in the sector, gender integration, and various other initiatives. Over and above that, Fempreneur, I'm the national chair for that. We Women is 80,000 women.
Okay, we have lost.
80,000 women.
Yeah.
All that we need is a little help, and a little guidance, go to market strategy or something, and they are on their own. So why can't we live to give and feel so nice about it that yes, we created so many people. We are not competing with any of them. And I don't know whether I mentioned to you or not, I'm a regional mentor of change for Niti Aayog, also Atal Tinkering Labs and Atal Innovation Mission. So there are 8 schools in UP Noida, which are under me in that capacity. So children from class 6 to class 12 and a whole lot of girls, STEM education, they're creating robos. They're doing so much. There's so much we can do to help them, in this whole startup ecosystem also. So I think we have to somewhere as leaders say, okay, fine, we roughed it out. Let's make it easy for everybody. Hashtag live to give.
Live to give. Hashtag. Ashu, what do you have to say? What will you add to it?
So I just believe that their government has also taken a lot of steps. And I know many MNCs where there are roles which are specifically said that X percentage has to go to a woman. So where I believe that a lot of support from the family is also required. Because if the family is supportive, I mean, I'm sure for all of us, we were very lucky in that front because we got full support from our family where in spite of having a child and all, we were able to give in long hours and able to commit. So I think it's very important from for a girl not to make from childhood to train her that you are as equal as your brother or anybody else, and you have right to also dream and aspire to be big. So that's very important, so that tomorrow when she has that opportunities, many people honestly because of family pressure are not able to continue or whatever. So it's very important also to have a very supportive family. So I think at that front also we need to work not only towards these girls and all, because tomorrow if we may do whatever with them, mentor them, but where they get married, how and how things take them, that's also very important. So it has to be done at a ground level. That's what I
That's true.
believe.
That's very true. We can train women, we can teach women, but it is the society or the families that also have to be the mindsets have to change. Nasira, do you think in next 4 5 years, probably 2030 or 2047, we will not be talking about all these basics?
I,
What's your
I
expectation?
sincerely hope so. I really truly believe, Sapna, that I hope that, diversity in leadership won't be something we celebrate as a milestone. It just becomes a normal business reality. I hope to see that women are not just sitting at the table, they are helping design the table itself. We are the ones who are shaping
Okay.
conversation and deciding what's get built next, right? And ultimately, I think the real goal, I feel long term, should be that these Women's Day conversations should not be necessary, right? That's where we will really, feel that, okay, that's when we say that, yeah, we are empowered, Emma, that such that these conversations are not required. I'm hoping that, yeah, someday we reach that.
So hopefully, in another few years, or as Ananta ji said, maybe by next year, we will not have these Women Day panel discussions. We will come up with something else. So these were some lemon moments from our women leaders who are today with us. Now let me get into the lemonade part of it, the rapid fire. So one word, one sentence answers that I will need from you. One challenge that made you stronger. Megha, what was that one challenge that made you stronger? One word or one sentence?
It's always difficult to ask. And I think once you overcome that, then there is no stopping you. So you have to ask always, and there is no other way.
Completely. Women do not ask for help, whether it is
Yeah.
at home or it is at work.
Yes.
Anantaji, one challenge that made you stronger.
Yeah, dealing with the bereavement and dealing with health issues.
Yeah, very important. Health, and probably the loved ones. It's very difficult to overcome that. Ashu, one challenge that made you stronger professionally, personally.
Same like Anantaji said, even dealing with health issues.
Yeah, right. And in fact, as women, we do not take care of our health too much because we want to do this also, that also. We want to keep, take care of our families. We want to take care of our career. Nasira, one challenge for you that ultimately made you stronger.
I think the power of saying no, right? When you know that you have to put
Mm,
your foot down, you have to have that self belief saying that, that boundary creation has been a challenge, but as
correct.
well as I think my strength now. The idea of being able to be empowered enough to say no and have your boundary, I think that's been my biggest strength.
Correct. Saying no, asking for help, and health is something which is very important for any woman leader. One habit that helps you stay resilient, when the going gets tough. So, what is that one habit that keeps all of you resilient? Ashu, starting with you.
Just as keep learning, constantly know what's going on in your industry so that you are with the flow.
Okay. So keep learning, keep yourself updated constantly. That is what will keep you in sync with the times. Anantaji, one habit that helps you stay resilient in this industry.
Time management and self motivation.
Okay, fantastic. Time
Every
management.
morning, every morning is a new day.
Okay. Okay, look in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful, I'm strong. Okay, fantastic. Megha, Megha, what is that one habit that makes you resilient?
Really wanting my own self identity. I think that's very, very important for me. And that keeps the fire burning in the belly. When that is on, then I do everything that is required, whether it is learning, whether it is keeping my health great, all of that. So that fire in the belly and really wanting a very powerful, strong self identity.
Wanting that self identity, which will also keep the fire in the belly running. You want to
Yeah.
keep achieving more. Nasira,
I think for
last but
me, yeah, I think for me, it's discipline and consistency in everything I do. The idea of really separating feedback from identity, I think that's something people struggle with,
Hmm,
where, you take everything a little too personally sometimes because of
right.
that whole journey of, yourself questioning yourself and all of that. But I think that that constant intent of evolving and self improving is something that's really helped me in my journey. Yeah.
Fantastic. Taking the feedback in the right sense, in and working on it. That's a good habit to keep yourself updated, to keep evolving, as Nasira said. Now, if you could change one, probably one rule or one thing in a corporate culture, what would that be? Ashu, you must be seeing a lot of corporate culture around you. So one thing that you would like to change there.
I would want that women are equally respected for their view. And just because a woman is saying something, it doesn't mean that she has to overprove herself that what she's saying is
Ah,
correct.
that is true. That is true. Anantaji, I think I'm sure you agree to that. What do you want to change in the corporate culture?
Well, the pyramid shaped organization structure. I would love to have a corporate culture which is boss free and more collaborative, because age and qualifications do not define success, neither do corporate packages. So if
Right.
someone deserves to shine, irrespective of age and background and culture, the person should have the opportunity to shine. Though right now where I am, I'm sitting on top of the pyramid. But honestly, I was the same even when I was a sales officer or a management trainee. I haven't changed.
That is right. Easier said than done. That what it is. Megha, what would you want something to, change in the corporate culture that we have today?
I mean, there are so many things, but one of the things that I could say is there are a lot of policies which are done to sort of maybe either elevate women or create a bias-free environment. But I think it's not about policies. It's about living that through principle, through DNA, through stuff like Ananta said on open culture, more collaborative culture. Just having a policy document does not mean that you will get the
Mhm.
results that you want. So I really hope that more corporates live these values where there can be a lot of learning, mentoring, coaching, irrespective of gender, so that, you know, talent shines, irrespective of who the talent is by their gender. And now it's not just binary, it's not just men and women. There are so many more. So it really needs to uh, get out of documents sitting on laptops and portals to the actual way a culture comes alive.
That's right. Policy documents, unless it
Yeah,
is
talent
probably
needs to shine.
actions. Yes. So, Nasita, if I have to ask you, what makes a workplace truly equal? Like everyone has
Yeah,
said their thing.
yeah.
How?
I I would think, there is the fact that, not the loudest voice will have always the best idea, right? The visibility has to come because of merit and credibility. Talent should get noticed before titles and assumptions. Like everyone's saying, right? It's all about making sure that the right idea is getting the right impetus and getting the right encouragement. It needs to go beyond being just visible or being just loud. I think that's one thing that we all need to make sure that that changes. And it's about getting your authentic self to work. The idea that the workplace is safe enough for you to be yourself, because only when you're yourself can you thrive and get your best ideas across. So I think that's when you'll truly have the best workspace, when you can come as you and be you.
What we are hearing, what's coming out of this entire discussion is one is the collaborative spaces. One is it is not about men or women or men against women. It is about equal space, equal weightage to, as our speaker said, the loudest voice doesn't have to be the best idea in the room. So that kind of equality and equity is something what our speakers have said in this entire discussion is what it is about Women's Day that we need to talk about. It is not just the success and the achievements of few of the women leader, but it is the challenges for everyone in the room, and again, it's not about men or women, but challenges for all the workforce. Challenges could be same for even men, when we are talking about it. As Megha said, again, it's not about, why are we having the conversation about men and women? Sometimes women, we also are at fault of taking ourselves bit too seriously, and thinking that, yes, we can do everything. So thank you everyone for those thoughtful and honest views, and especially sharing your own very personal moments and journeys, your career challenges with us today. What standouts from this conversation is that leadership is rarely built on moments of success. The lemon challenges often make the most powerful sources of growth and the most powerful women leaders. So thank you so much, everyone here, to our wonderful panelists for sharing their experiences so candidly. And thank you everyone else who joined us today for this conversation. So wishing again all of you a very happy International Women's Day. And hopefully the next time we'll be talking, the subject will be completely different, not the lemons or the lemonade.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you. A very happy
Happy
Women's Day to
Women's
Happy
Day.
Women's
everybody.
Day.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Have a
Bye.
nice weekend.
You too.
You
Bye.
too.
Thanks,
Thank
Atu.
you.
Thanks, Dr. Anantaji.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Megha. And thanks,
Thank
Nasira.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.